our player development philosophy is pretty simple. It's trying to make our players as good as they can, overachieve, great bang for their buck, like be a really valuable international basketball commodity. But one of the ideas I think is really important is you're trying to maximize their growth and you're trying to align it with a meaningful vision. So that vision might be gold medal at the Olympics, making the Boomers, playing the NBA. The players have goals, have a miracle sort of vision for sure. Well, they should, and they often do. What you want to do is align your plan for their development and their perceived or their short-term goals, and try and find the common ground and get those things aligned and headed in the right direction. All sounds very obvious, but I think there's a big disconnect, and partly because of exposure, Instagram, social media, what have you, highlights, trying to get seen, get picked up in college recruiting. There's a big disconnect between what we as coaches probably think is required for a player to improve over the next 5 years and get where he needs to get to achieve his goals, and what they think. And to them, a lot of the things we think are probably pretty boring. So I've put a lot more time into this. Always had individual play meetings, of course, and talked about it, but trying to see the world through their lens a little bit and realize that as we go up levels and every player comes from different backgrounds, this thing will evolve. And you're trying to really maximize how good they can get, but make sure it's going to take a long time. So it's going to be in an area they're passionate about and motivated to achieve with. And the classic case I think of is in the NBA, I need to be a 3, not a 5, and sort of idea. Not that we may disagree a little bit. So we've got to find the common ground, I guess. We've got to trick them a little bit, get buy-in, and really maximize their growth, but include their own goals in that. This quote I added here, I'm not going to read it out. I was sent it recently by Tim Mallon, and it struck me straight away. We've been talking a lot about these 2 ideas in development, that this 2-pronged approach the players need to have. Pretty simply, the first approach is to have a vision, to have a long-term goal, to have something that's really motivating and you're passionate about, and understanding your why. That's the thing that's going to help you persist, give you grit, passion, and perseverance. And then the second prong in your approach is your daily work, your ability to be about the process and stay present. And I like to throw this question to our playing group is, what's the most important thing we can do? And the answer I expect from them is work hard today, bring a great effort today. And one of the things in development, and if I refer back to what I think players can think, is that it's boring. And some of the work is undoubtedly boring. But I think with including the players in your decisions about the environment and the reasons they're going to do certain things can improve that. But trying to awaken within them this idea of seeing the beauty in the things they're going to improve at. And it's one thing, and Tim Mallon gave me this quote, a New South Welshman. I thought he did a fantastic job of getting the players to understand that how fantastic it was to be able to slide on defense and contain a man for 3 dribbles, and how important it was, and how it was going to be difficult for us to achieve, and you to achieve your goals without valuing that part of the game. So some of the concepts or pillars we want to have in pursuing a high quality learning environment. So we're trying to achieve our goal, but the way we're going to do it is a daily high quality learning environment. And we want to be innovative. We have a bit more of a luxury than most, of course, with our training environment, resources and things like that. I think it needs to be balanced with what's practical, of course, but we want to be pushing the boundaries. We want to be overachieving. We want to be finding ways to separate ourselves. That's the game we're in. Ultimately, everyone's time poor, so we don't want it to be wasteful. We want to do our research and be evidence-based. But secondly, is it needs to be holistic, and that sort of refers back to the idea of aligning. We want to coach the whole person. We want to get them motivated and excited and keep them on track and and their ability to stay on course, and that part of things. And if what's important is the work they do each day, we undoubtedly know that's going to be impacted by their personal circumstance and their personal temperament and things going on at home and the level of support they feel and connection they feel with their organisation and teammates. So all of that is important. We want an athlete-centred environment where we have a high degree of autonomy. The athletes play a role in designing what they do and are encouraged to question and challenge and be thoughtful and be inquisitive and be outspoken, not be mindless robots and go about the cookie cutter approach. That is not the best way to achieve a great learning environment. And that we're aligned, that they feel part of something greater and they're enthusiastic about the work. And I think that's an important concept, because in development, one of the things that I think throws us off is the popular idea of dribbling around cones with a brilliant workout coach, 1-on-0. And whilst that can be good work, ultimately we can do more together than we can alone. Contested drills, coaches and players on the same page, multiple voices working together, I think is a big factor. So I'm just moving my camera around here a little bit. So deliberate practice is a concept we've probably all heard of. I want to touch again on this idea that I've sort of alluded to of having a learning environment versus a performance environment. If I jump down to performance, let's use a shooting example. If we're preparing to play tomorrow, we want to do something that doesn't have an extreme cognitive load. Like, we don't want to discuss lengthy new drills and broad concepts and get into the nitty-gritty of things and have athletes emotionally challenged and force them to solve some problems together. It's not going to help them necessarily in the short term. Be like cramming for an exam tomorrow. It might create confusion as much as anything and possibly hurt confidence. And confidence shooting is a thing. So if you're preparing to play tomorrow, it may be more blocked, closed drills, repetition, getting a rhythm, this sort of idea. Getting your system in clarity, role clarity, like your scouting report, this whole idea that the athlete has a good sense of calm going into and getting ready to perform, and confidence and clarity. That's definitely something that is required in basketball. And what that will do, just like cramming can do, is promote short-term retention. And what I've done a poor job of plenty of research on things that promote short-term retention, really not facilitating much long-term retention. And that athletes or students, anyone in a learning environment can do. Being in a learning environment is difficult, and it can ultimately, in the short term, make things difficult. But in a longer term environment, you will continue to, from the right learning environment, continue to improve and outperform those from a performance environment. So a learning environment has a few things. It requires a lot of deliberate practice, so quality over quantity, which requires really deliberate planning to achieve those things. It's hard work. Like, it has to be, when we say quality repetitions, things, contested, that they have a decision in them, they're not comfortable. Once an athlete is comfortable, they're doing less learning. It requires patience from the coaching staff, from the teammates, from the athlete with themselves. That's why the coaching in this area is really hard, I think, and it requires a level of patience and research that is potentially beyond our intuitions at times. Like we are, all prone to bias, but not only that, we're just fooled by thinking athletes are getting better when it's really just short-term retention. A really strong learning environment can be messy and require trial and error by the athletes, and the right sort of quality repetitions with the right sort of feedback. So there's some sort of implicit learning going on, and then different types of feedback, like I've put here. expert feedback. So the coach definitely, but intrinsic, where the drill or the outcome provides and the trial and error nature of the environment provides the athlete with the ability to solve some problems themselves. And that's one of the factors in long-term learning. Peer feedback, I think, is really important as well.
Coach, real quick, we've got a question that's coming through. What investments are made in developing psychological skills in high performance in practice? So, for example, goal setting and performance evaluation.
Just repeat the first part of the question, sorry.
So what investments do you make in your program in developing those psychological skills?
Yeah, great question. Not as much as I want, because you just feel like you can't do everything all the time. So we have periods of the year where we invest heavily. Well-being is the biggest, and that sort of needs to be ongoing. We have really good resources, obviously. So we have well-being counselor, psychologist on site. But well-being is also, of course, the relationship have with the athletes, the support they feel, your ability to keep them connected to where they're from and their family, and for them to forge really strong relationships with their teammates and feel valued and autonomous and connected, are the two things we make sure we achieve in our environment. I'm certainly a big advocate of mindfulness and visualization. We educate the players, we give them apps, we do some team sessions, some more group sessions. We'll work it into their goal setting, and not something we force upon them, but we really encourage it and talk about it. And my honest belief is that if you're not doing it in the modern day, you're borderline incompetent. One of the explanations I like to give to the players is that if you want to strengthen a bicep, you would do a bicep curl and do it lots of times, and you won't always do the perfect bicep curl, but your bicep will get stronger, it'll be able to lift more weight, absorb more punishment. Mindfulness and a lot of mental training really is honing your ability to pay attention. And we have this often have this strange intuition that we should be able to do that perfectly, and if we don't pay attention, we failed. But try and explain to the players that mindfulness is practice, and we give you something to focus on, your breath, mantra, might be visualization. You will ultimately lose attention, you'll have thoughts arise and things like that, and every time you lose attention, you bring it back. You can recognize that and train that ability. That's like bicep curls for your mind. So we put a lot of time into that. Goal setting is, an integral part of high performance, and we've all heard about SMART goals. We like to start with our athletes here. They have a written diary and an online one and one on the board, and we're always sort of finding ways for them to be putting things down in writing and having the opportunity to reflect back on it. But one of the things we do at the start of the year is a miracle question, which is, it's a concept from solution-focused brief therapy and psychology. It really is trying to get away from trying to fix the problems you have and recognize your strengths, recognize what you're trying to achieve. The miracle question is closing your eyes and waking up in 10 years and all your wildest dreams have come true, recognizing the small steps you're taking towards that journey already, what you've got to continue to do, and et cetera, et cetera. Pretty simple process. And I like to link that to their skill development and shooting, and I have a slide sort of coming up on shooting, but one of the things in improving as a shooter and decision maker is clearing your mind and not trying to fix every repetition and think something was wrong or fix all your perceived weaknesses. Ultimately, version of you, and that includes in your shooting. I get a bit excited talking about this stuff, so hopefully I answered the question there, but it might have gone on a bit long.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, moving on. You're welcome. I can see Nathan Brereton smiling at me there. It's put me off. So I just put a sample practice plan on here. I'm just trying to think of a way to discuss a learning environment. Ours is far from perfect. This is one that We have a skill acquisition specialist coming to practice at the moment, writing me practice evaluations. They're hard to take sometimes, but all part of good learning, right? If I'm comfortable, I'm not learning. What I think, my camera is taking away the date. Yes, a pretty recent practice. We have, you can see our sort of theme and emphasis of the week and how we're trying to, broad areas we're trying to work on. What this practice plan doesn't have is a lot of those things in great detail. It doesn't have much floor position in great detail. It has a teaching section at the start and follows a sort of whole part whole method that I like, which is where we may introduce or show the broad concept, the 5-on-5. This is what happens in the game. This is our philosophy. This is what we're trying to achieve. And our philosophy is pretty broad, pretty trying to have a bit of everything, modern, what's happening in the game, what's going to help you be multi-skilled and be a really valuable international basketball commodity. But you know, different teams would have a different philosophy for different reasons, obviously. So, and then we'll break that whole down into some parts and finish it as a whole again. What happens in this practice is we sort of teach it. We do a lot of the sort of daily work that I like to do. It's not the same drills, it's not the same breakdown. I do like randomness, interleaved work, but we get back to it as we're working in offensive screening in the last sort of 20 minutes down there. We sort of come back to it after breaking it down a little bit and getting to 5-on-5. We like to have about 30% of our work to be shooting. So there would have been some positional shooting here in the individuals and probably an explanation of a learning environment. If we're going to dig in on the shooting is, might be our drill labeled here. It's about 4th row down. It has slide into 3s. So we're in an athletic development phase. We've hit that first thing. That's pretty intense 30 minutes of sprint work and change of direction, lateral speed. We'll teach a principle. I've taken a lot of names and details and some things that the coaches will be following there, but we'll chunk down our teaching points. And so teaching point there for screening is sprint, smart, separate. And we're going to focus on the smart and pin downs. We're going to talk about rescreen reads. So that would be me setting up the scenario, asking the players what their options are, why they would do certain things, not just me explaining it. And then it staggers. So 3 people in the situation, who's responsible for being the last screener and making the last read, so to speak, and what some of our sort of work is together there and options. As we get down to the shooting, sorry, I got off track. We've done a fair bit of work. We've done some positional shooting there, have some finishing, and we'll have a bit of contested shooting. And then we'll get back to some uncontested shooting. We'll usually put some sort of physical work before it. So this was lane slides. So I might have 4 people sliding across the lane. I've got my board here, really simple. Well, we would have 3 or 4 players lined up. They may do 3 to 4 lane slides, have to sprint to the 3. We'd have balls set up around the court. They'd call someone's name, so they're using their voice, catch and shoot a 3, some sort of reset, next player sprint in. So it's just some grunt work shooting, but it requires some communication, a little bit random where you might receive the ball from. I might run out in the court and deny a player, and they've lost their legs a little bit, and we put some pressure on it. So some time pressure to get a score. No active genius that. And we'll do some work to get them going, so to speak. And while we like a learning environment, you don't want to 100% everything. We're kind of in that 80-20, 60-40 range, depending on the year. And then 3 versus 3 split kick extra is a 3-on-3 breakdown drill where we'll cause the ball to get into the keyway. And Michael Cassidy and Peter Lonergan recently put out a video. They're happy to provide the link as follow-up, along with these slides. That drill is in there, along with some other shooting and split kick extra drills. But we see that as a 3-point shooting drill. We're going to get in the keyway. The defense is going to try hard to take that away. They'll be in rotations. They'll get a chance to work on their floor position. We'll interleave these concepts. We'll have coaches delegated to coaching different areas of it. So by that stage of practice, the players have been taught a concept, done some positional individual work, and done some meaningful shooting. And in their positional indies, they'll have played some one-on-one and done a little bit of individual defense, as sort of the boxes will tick there. And they're the things we like to have every day along with scrimmaging. One of the things that often comes up when we're talking development as an example is shooting and our approach. And it's a difficult area to get enough contested reps, I think. Work, have a really big staff, you can do a lot of the work, and that's what you see a lot of NBA practices now. And I think all of this stuff is growing leagues around the world. You'll see a lot of NBA coaches, big staffs, and a lot of, you know, sort of friends of mine and that they're doing interviews now. NBA teams are interested in them because they can still play, so they can get out and play defense all practice. So the players don't have that level of physical work. They're not doing the contesting, but they're getting a lot of contested shots. That's one of the difficult things. And one of the tricks as a coach is to be able to gather some data really hard, gather data, evaluate your players' shooting, and hopefully have some evidence that it's improving and heading in the right direction. But it's a hard thing to achieve. But this is the process we go through with all the resources that we're fortunate to have. The first thing is to clear your mind. And I think that's one of the most important pieces of work we do. By the nature of your junior development, you've had 12 coaches, everyone watching your shot, giving an offhand comment about it. Well, you thumb the ball, you do this. Really the completely wrong process. Exactly what I do every time I swing a golf club, and I just continue to suck at golf. You need to clear your mind and have a simple plan, understand your approach, and that simple plan, after we clear the mind, they won't come in first day and we'll talk about the shooting, we'll present the plan, we'll video it, we'll say we're going to get some shots, we're going to, you know, evaluate your shooting, but it's not a test. Your job is to come in here, enjoy your shooting, get lots of reps, learn the drills, do them at game speed. As we start to drip feed you a plan, you to buy in on that plan, to seek feedback about it through us, through video, lots of peers. We got lots of ability to provide feedback. One of our recent ones for Will Tattersall came back from COVID. Will become a really good shooter, but we're just shooting flat, and the home court app can just read out your shooting arc. And for the next few weeks, he just shot with that next to him on the court in any drill. And we just have it read it, and it would just call out his arc on every shot. Just a little simple feedback loop that seemed to work for him. And he stuck to that simple plan, stuck to that repetition, and it really helped him make a jump. But this process of just clearing your mind, having the plan, sticking to it, enjoying shooting, coming in the gym, and then evolving your plan a little bit as you go, I think is really easy to say, really hard to do. How we go about it is a little bit of everything. And what the art of having a learning environment is doing these things and a little bit of everything, but doing it in a way with the concepts we've taught people. We like to have a selection of drills, and we'll direct the players to some of that will be just simple technique drills, like it might be 1 foot, 1 hand shooting, or a little balance work before you shoot, a little follow through work on the wall. And we'll talk to them about the things they want to improve, helping them let the drill, let them grow in their level of discomfort with the changes they're trying to make. And they will play a role in how much of that they'll do each week, which drills they'll do. We may say at practice, 15 minutes before we start, I want you to split that up between technique shooting and contested ball handling. And the players will gravitate, you know, will have a level of autonomy in what they're doing with that. And we'll certainly question it and go around and get involved and work with the players on it and film it and give feedback. But layering in, and then we'll drip feed technique at different times, sometimes at the end of workouts and stuff like that. We've hit on psychology. We haven't really hit on volume, or I've mentioned that, we certainly quality over quantity, but there is no escape for hard work, and getting in the gym and shooting a lot is undoubtedly what is required to become a really good shooter. And it's lonely work often. People are willing to pay the price and get in there by themselves. And as we talk about a lot of learning concepts in coaching, I think sometimes it can come across as a bit flippant or new school, or lacking a bit of the old school traditional stuff that has worked. I'm not into sort of ignoring that space. I'm definitely into finding ways to push the athletes to be self-motivated, to enjoy hard work, to want to get lots of reps, to compete in that. But smart work as well, and knowing which reps will help them the most. We'll do dynamic, uncontested shooting, add contested, and we'll have sort of intricate way of evaluating players shooting, and it's a very difficult thing to articulate, and with each player we'll actually do it differently, because some players may I remember coaching Emmett Nah and wishing he shot more threes, so his shooting percentage wasn't a great evaluation for us. We thought he was going to shoot a great percentage, just wanted him to shoot more attempts per game, and so your evaluation tools will change for each player. One of the things we do here that is a little bit against the learning environment, but we do it once a week, and it's just a sort of mode, it's a data point for the players for us to keep their buy-in and to create some motivation. And we just call it volume shooting, 200 week, it's the same time. This is one little data point, and we measure it. We get full count, same drills with a coach, and so we have this chart over the course of the year of how your shooting is going in that environment. That's not a game. We'll have game stats and that as well, of course. But one of the things that will derail players and stop point number one, they won't have a clear mind or a simple plan, is this sensation that they're not getting better. And you get so few reps of a lot in competition and in practices that can really throw a player off. And having this data that has shown their journey, and they can understand it's not linear, and that's potentially at times a sign of fatigue, I found really powerful in keeping them on track.
Coach, real quick, a question on shooting. If junior coaches wanted to kind of keep up with some of the premier shooting countries out there in the world, what kind of things could they be doing at their level to develop phenomenal shooters? Is it as simple as getting more repetition and more volume?
Not as simple as that, though that one has to happen, as we said, and you just can't do enough in a team setting. You hoop in the backyard, getting shots up at lunchtime at school, all of that for sure. Ultimately, I think we put too much time, often, easy for me to judge, into team preparation or systems, and it's what coaches like, it's what makes us look good, but it won't be the determining factor in the players' ability to, and what we're trying to do, as you said initially, prepare them for the next level. So more of your practice time to create contested game-like shots that require a decision. I think that, and how creative can we be at that, and efficient, and I think that's a really big part. Those two things go hand in hand. So that's our day-to-day work, and then the other one is creating a world where players are really motivated to get a large amount of repetition. There's no doubt that's helpful. The right type of repetition is better. It's an easy, and I feel somewhat like I'm being negative, saying that largely we should put more time into it. It's not just shooting. I think it's, skill and decision making should be a bigger part of our practices, and we all fall into that trap. I do here. We have some things put in place to sort of keep us on track, I guess, with the percentage of our training and our sort of coaches' discussions and feedback from players and things like that. The other thing is I think we don't do enough individual work. Like, it's kind of the same thing. But if you go through a weekly schedule, it's got a lot of team practice and a lot of school games, club games. Games are good. To play well, you're going to be playing games for sure, but small group work, lots of contested repetitions, that's hard to do in a team practice at times. And it's why sometimes to avoid that trap, we'll shrink our numbers and do 3 small groups and things like that. They're the 3 big areas for me. Repetition is discussed, the breakup of your team practice and including shooting and evaluating it, talking about it in practice in a contested way and environment, and just a smarter breakup of your week. There's one reason that people here, and I do believe they have, made a big move with their shooting, it's they can get more repetition. The setup is made for it with just the efficiency of the environment, but we put a lot of time into it. We don't spend much time doing systems, set plays, things like that. It's easy for me to say, it's not what we're paid to do, is to win on the weekend. But
Thanks, Coach. Just one more question on shooting. What are your thoughts on teaching rhythm in juniors versus not teaching them rhythm?
Yeah, I think it's an important thing to teach. Rhythm, balance, follow through are one of the chunks of sort of teaching points we go with. This is our sort of philosophy or shooting plan, and getting it straight, getting it high, getting it long, and rhythm, balance, and follow through. The sort of 3 little breakdown areas. And I think knowing where your power comes from when you shoot and being able to generate it and to flow into it and to enjoy that feeling is an important part of shooting. To become really rigid and mechanical goes against a lot of skill acquisition, as I would understand it, at a rudimentary level. I often think back to the book, The Inner Game of Tennis, that I really enjoyed. Talked about, like I said, it's what I do at golf. Talks about you can't hit a tennis ball if you're thinking about your elbow angle and stuff like that. It's got to be an unconscious act. And so that's why drilling and the right sort of practice will be a factor, and why our intuition of explaining something, having a player focus on it and being able to do it under pressure is just misplaced. So rhythm, to me, answers a lot of those questions, that you're feeling your power come from your hip drive and your foot movement and preparation to your shot, and that it's a reasonably smooth and effortless act. I think they're really good things for shooters to pursue. I think you can do that and pay close attention to detail and be obsessive about the details. I think you can do both. Being obsessive about the detail can disrupt, especially chunking can help, taking out. Like, you want to work the detail of someone's follow through, you can take out the lower half of their body and get them off a basket, and then try and drip feed that back in and have a sort of interleaving of those ideas as you build back up to shooting. That would be my answer.